What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news and updates from Bungie regarding the game. And in this video we'll touch on the most recent update, which has fixed some vendor issues and missing rewards. But we're also going to talk about future updates for April and seasons in Year 5, as well as new rewards from GMs, mementos, the Destiny 2 community's answer to Wordle, and a bunch more inside of the video. So guys, as always, I hope you enjoy this one, and if you do, a rating below really does help us out, but now let's get into it. And so getting into the video today, initially, DMG from Bungie gave another update regarding the Day 1 raid emblem, and it said due to the work involved to ensure players can receive both the emblem and the triumph, delivery has been postponed to the mid-April patch, and once we have additional info we'll be sure to let you know. And so the wait will continue for a little while longer. It also gives us confirmation of another patch in the middle of April, so it might be something we see next week or the week after. Players on PC are also still experiencing VRAM leaks, and Cosmo did recognise this, saying that we've checked and are tracking the issue and working on a fix. And he points out that this does appear to be a somewhat complex issue to investigate, but they're working on it and will give us updates soon. Another interesting one DMG responded to, but players were discussing Scorn crossbows and the fact that they can very easily one-shot players even in patrol modes. And it turns out there is a bug there, allowing them to do a lot more damage than intended, but DMG said their reign of terror will end in a future season. And DMG went on to tweet, "Rescorn snipers, next season they won't be as harsh. That said, they'll still be able to one-shot up close if you're being careless, or from afar if you've taken damage," but he adds that this wasn't a matter of frame rate, but a matter of 3 crossbow bolts mixing with some other damage components. Again, you'll still want to be careful in higher end content when facing these enemies, but hopefully it will reduce the amount of times that we're killed by surprise by those crossbows. Couple of things associated with the content this week though. Initially, Pinnacle rewards were missing from Gambit for the week with Gambit Labs' invasion swap, but Bungie Help have tweeted that the issue is now resolved and the Pinnacle reward can be acquired. Another thing that players have noticed, and earlier on Bungie had said that elemental burns weren't going to be added to Grandmaster Nightfalls this season. However, in game there are acute burn modifiers, and this week we've got acute arc burn, which increases incoming elemental damage by 50%. And so it's possible that that isn't intended, and the Bungie will give us an update soon. But also relating to the TWAB for this week, DMG said, setting expectations it will be a light TWAB, and the team is heads down on future stuff, but they have put requests out regarding burning questions in the community. So the conversation will continue, but just bear in mind it could be a slightly smaller TWAB this week. Up next though, we did get a new patch for Destiny 2 yesterday, and this was hotfix 4006. It did fix an issue that's been bugging players with the weekly Xur inventory. That's the one where Xur was offering exotic armor with low stat rolls and identical stat allocation. And so the rolls shouldn't be super low now, but they do add that the fix has caused a new issue where the advertised stats on Xur's inventory screen may be slightly different to the item that we actually receive. So that's something else that they need to fix in the future. However, in general, there should hopefully be the opportunity for decent rolls from these Xur armor pieces moving forward. Another potentially useful one, but for Trials of Osiris, they fixed a problem where players were not receiving the expected additional rewards while being in the flawless pool. And so essentially there were more intended drops to be available inside of that flawless pool as game rewards. So if you are a flawless pool player, that could be useful for the upcoming Trials weekend. And finally for PC, they fixed a problem where some users could experience black screens for Windows 7 and 8.1. So if you do use those platforms, things should be improved. Another thing to mention here, thought this was worth pointing out, but the Trials memento, which has now become available, has some pretty cool vanity options. We can see that at weapon level 30, when you apply this to a craftable weapon, you can unlock the Gleaming Keepsake shader, which is a really cool animated shader right there in gold, with this sort of swirling pattern effect, which is pretty neat. Of course, there is also the Gambit memento and shader, and that comes with the kind of green skin that we can see. But possibly the least exciting, to be honest, would be the Vanguard memento, which is now dropping from Grandmasters. And we've got the typical Vanguard colours on that shader, which could definitely look decent on some weapons, but it's probably the least exciting memento shader overall. However, give us your thoughts down below. Another thing I wanted to mention, but thanks to Light.gg, Destiny 2 now has its own Wordle clone, and this is called Rolldle, which was originally developed by the folks over at Light.gg as an April Fool's joke, but has turned out to be pretty popular. And apparently the page has been accessed well over 3 million times. And basically for the game, you have 6 chances to guess the most popular perk rolls for a given weapon. And that includes successfully guessing all of the potential slot perks, so barrels, magazines, traits, and even the masterwork stats. So it's pretty cool, and if you want to check that out, I'll link Destiny 2 Rolldle down below. Now though, with Grandmasters going live today, I thought it was worth taking a moment to touch on some of the rewards, and Bungie have said that we'll see both Palindrome and Plug 1 Adept as available drops for Grandmaster completions on top of Adept weapon mods, shards, and enhancement prisms. And the rules for these weapons have been ever so slightly updated, so it's still possible to get all of the perks we had before. So for Palindrome, popular stuff like Quick Draw, Killing Wind, Overflow, and Outlaw, as well as Rampage and Rangefinder, which are all in the most popular trait combos, are all still available. But Palindrome sees the addition of Compulsive Reloader in the first trait slot, and that grants increased reload speed when close to a full magazine. And we can see that procs when you reload above a 70% mag, and it grants plus 50 to reload speed. But also it can get stats for all in the first trait slot, and hitting 3 separate targets increases weapon handling, stability, reload, and range for a moderate duration. The only addition in the second trait slot though is Turnabout, and using this weapon to break the shield of a combatant or a guardian using their super will grant you an overshield. And of course with Palindrome being a void weapon, that could be an interesting bonus. And then they have had the origin traits added, so initially there is Stunning Recovery, and stunning a champion partially refills your magazine, triggers health regen, and improves recovery for a short duration. But then it can get Vanguard's Vindication, the Vanguard origin trait, and final blows with the weapon will grant a small amount of health. And so those are the additions and changes for the Palindrome, and of course that Adept version dropping from the Grandmasters. And then we've got Plug 1. Once again, the popular trait combos, Feeding Frenzy, Under Pressure, Heating Up, and Quick Draw, plus Reservoir Burst, Kickstart, and Cornered are all still available to drop. But it once again gets Compulsive Reloader, and additionally Adaptive Munitions, and the weapon adapts its damage output and effectiveness against energy shields that don't match the weapon's damage type. Then for the second trait slot, it can now get Successful Warm-Up, and each final blow increases charge or draw speed, but it can also get Turnabout. And once again for Plug 1, the Stunning Recovery and Vanguard Vindication perks are available as origin traits. So just in case you were curious about the adjustments for those repriced weapons, hopefully that was useful, and let us know if you're going to be jumping in to try and pick any of them up in the comment section. But for today guys, that is everything that we have to round up in this video. So as always, I super appreciate you guys tuning in and all of the support that you've shown on the channel over the past few months. It's been absolutely awesome. So I appreciate you as always, and be sure to give us any thoughts you have about the stuff we've touched on in the video down in the comments section. But also if you've enjoyed this one, a rating below really helps us out. Plus, if you're new around here, feel free to get subscribed and I will keep you posted with more Destiny 2 content. However, for now, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.